of the violence is neglect, but it's all born out of the failure of family, community, and leadership.
Yes.
To give to our young people a future that they are a part of, that they can see themselves in, and they can be builders of. At some point, there has to be the right idea at the basis of our planning, at the basis of our agenda, and that idea has to be separate and independent of the idea of our enslavers and our former oppressors. For as long as we think that we can operate within the framework of our enemies, we will continue to suffer loss. We have to come up with the right idea that will give energy and direction for us to create and build a new reality for ourselves. We are larger than 195 countries on this planet, with a population of 45 million people, with $1 trillion coming into our community. And as Reverend Sharpton said, to come into Chicago and not find and to show his children the black businesses which were the black pride of our community is a shame. There has to be a plan for land. Land is the real pathway for wealth. And if we are not looking at pulling our nickels and our dimes and our quarters and our dollars from the $1 trillion that comes into our hand to purchase land. Land for what? That's where the wealth is. All the wars that are being fought on this planet is over land. But here we are as consumers, but we're not working to be producers for our people. So our children are dying because where there is no vision, the people perish. How can we sit around here, come up with a plan, and then worry about where the funding is going to come from when it should be coming from our own pockets? We have to fund our liberation. We have to fund our own businesses. We have to fund our own education. We can't depend on others anymore for what we should be doing for ourselves. That's the plan, Sister Hani, of Elijah Muhammad. A plan that has at its root the idea of a nation.
That's right.
And the Israelites, as I close, when they were in bondage to Egypt, God didn't send no solution to Moses to make them better citizens of Egypt. He didn't send them a solution to make them better tools, slaves and servants of Pharaoh and the Egyptians. The plan of God through Moses, the plan of God through Jesus is to separate his people from their enemies and put them in a position that they can be independent. So we're going to have to come up first with an idea and agree on the idea, which is going to lay out the 10-point plan. But without the right idea, we're going to continue to suffer. We're continuing going to be the laughing stock of other nations, because everybody has come into our community, sucked this community to build wealth for themselves, to produce for themselves. But here we are, still as beggars when we should be producers. All this vacant land and abandoned buildings, as Bishop Duke says, where's our plan for land? We have to get the land. And we have to acquire land and produce from the land healthy, wholesome foods that are killing our people today. These foods that are filled with sterilants and chemicals and toxins and poisons and hormones in the fish, hormones in the meat, hormones in the poultry. And you want to know why your little girls and our little girls at 11 and 12 years old are having their menses. It's the poison in the food. Excuse my passion. The bottom line is, damn it, we gotta break the shackles of slavery. We as a people are gonna have to chart our own destiny. And yes, it means to cross a river Jordan. Yes, it means to cross the Red Sea. A price gotta be paid. Sacrifices have to be made in order for a people to be free. And if we're not willing to pay that price, then we will die where we are. Because we can see that the old agenda and the old idea has not worked, will not work. Be ye transformed. But let me start the scripture right, Reverend, as I close it. Be ye no longer conformed to this world. Be ye no, let me bring it up to date. Be ye no longer, black people, conformed to the world of the white man. To be conformed to the white man's system of justice. It has failed you. Be ye no longer conformed to the white man's world of education that does not develop the minds of young black children. They're dropping out of school because they don't see themselves in the picture. It doesn't satisfy their natural thirst and hunger to be all that they can be, as long as they're connected to God, but not under the red, white, and blue. Be ye no longer conformed to her educational, political, and economic system. Be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. And when the mind changes, the whole environment changes. The circumstances change. The situation changes. But the old mind cannot bring about a new reality on the streets. It's got to be a new mind based upon a new idea. And if you take the right idea with strength and love to our young people, they will stand up and respond because they are soldiers. Born to claim what is theirs. And that's why what could have taken 40 days for the children of Israel to go into the land that God promised them, it took them 40 years. You know why? Because they were too punctified. They were afraid. They were cowards. They saw giants in the land. So God said, fine, you cowardly people, you will die in the wilderness, but I will take from your loins your children who will be unafraid of the promise that I have made to them. And I respectfully say those young people, that's the Messianic generation out there you're looking at. They are soldiers, born not to accept yesterday, but to accept a new direction and a new idea coming from a new mind. They are ready to take charge of their posts and accept responsibility, but not based upon the old idea and the old world. Give them a new Jerusalem to build, and they will be happy to respond to be the builders and be happy to be the defenders and the soldiers of what they build, because there's no such thing as getting into business without preparing for warfare. Business is warfare. And at some point, you're going to have an army to protect your land and have an army to protect your investment. That's what we have out here. Now, if that frightens us, then there'll be some more tornadoes that will surely frighten us. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.